Okay, welcome to Your Body Never Lies, live Saturday morning. Uh-oh, you've got your volume on. Turn down the YouTube volume on your, there you go. Or I can mute you. There we go. So, welcome to Your Body Never Lies Saturday morning. My name is Brian Joseph Snyder. I am the founder of this internal body language training system. And what we do at Your Body Never Lies is we rewrite the messages that our body gives us, because those messages that you hear that are probably sometimes annoying and sometimes trip you up or make you sad, that's not hardwired. That's not an error. That's just a software glitch based on your previous, how should I say this? Based on your previous ignorance of how you were creating your internal body language. So when we're young, the thoughts we have, the events we go through, those set us up for future internal body language messages. And when we're talking about healing, lots of times what we're talking about is healing those messages or shifting them to positive. And that's what Your Body Never Lies is about. I call it Your Body Never Lies because your body language, your external body language that you show the world, is a reflection of your internal body language. And when I do live events, I'm able to discern what's going on inside people by what they're expressing outside. And I'm quite good at it. The last couple of years, though, during the pandemic, I've shifted my knowledge base so that I can deliver the information in a slightly different way online. And that is my online play shop. Oh, I'm coming through. Okay. I heard an echo. I'm very effective in a live way identifying personal messages that and knocking them out of people's bodies, because our past, the way it gets dragged forward with us, there's a mechanism there I've discovered that you hearing me, Susan? There's a mechanism that our bodies use to perpetuate our history. So when we have an unresolved memory, so a trauma that we couldn't deal with as it happened, our bodies carry that forward in anticipation of us resolving it. And in anticipation of us resolving it, those memories get rekindled. And that mechanism that rekindles those memories is not hardware. That is not hardwired into your body. That is simply software. It's a simple software glitch. And my workshop aims to rewrite that program so that your body does not carry your history forward with you against your will. I'm hearing myself echo. Can you... Hey, Susan, can you mute your Zoom? Can you mute your Zoom? Okay, that's better. So it's early Saturday morning. The point of the training is to rewrite and change that program so that your history does not automatically get regurgitated to you at the worst possible time. And the worst possible time is usually any time. And the way this looks, one way to look at it is, if you had a bad relationship with a blonde when you were young, and then you had another bad relationship with somebody who was blonde when you're a little bit older, if that happens enough times, eventually you will not be comfortable around blonde people, because your body will reactivate old memories to make you believe that, yes, this brand new blonde person will also create a bad relationship with you. But that's not true. It's just the way our minds work. And it doesn't have to be. Another way, the personal experience of this is, I spoke about it last week. It's about collecting evidence. If you have memories in your mind that prove to you that you should do this or shouldn't do that, that is also part of the same mechanism. So if you've been fired, from a certain type of job, and then a few years later you got fired from the same type of job somewhere else, eventually you're just going to start feeling like you're not good enough to do that job. And the evidence is the memories you have that prove it, right? But memories are not evidence. Your memories only tell you who you were. They can't tell you who you are. And if you're interested in personal growth, in spiritual growth, in expansion, then of course, who you were no longer exists. I've been fired before, but that doesn't mean I'm not good enough to do that job. All it means is that I got fired once. It doesn't really matter. It has nothing to do with who we are today. And that's real. When we talk about being here now, that's a slice of what we're talking about. We're talking about not carrying evidence forward through life that proves negative beliefs about ourselves. And, when we talk about enlightenment, what we're talking about is letting the evidence go, because evidence is ever dense. It's heavy. It's what drags us down. It makes us suffer, and it makes life sometimes unbearable. And it definitely can take the joy out of life. The YBNL online play shop, which you can do at youtube.com/freeoflimits. It's easy. It takes a couple months to get through if you do it on your own. And by the end, you'll understand why your body has held on to evidence. You'll understand why it shouldn't have been, and that the coping mechanism that you personally have, and that we've all had, but the coping mechanism to deal with the evidence that we carry forward with us, all the evidence that proves that we're not enough in some way, or can't do this, or can't do that, or don't deserve love, or fill in the blank. All of that is based on a lie. And the play shop aims to show you the lie that lies buried beneath that experience. So the good news is that this has all been unraveled, and it's easy. It's simple. Sometimes it's not easy, but it's certainly simple. It's 37 videos. They average about 5 minutes each. You do a couple a day and sleep on the info, do the exercises, and within a few weeks or maybe a couple of months, you'll wake up one morning and you'll suddenly realize that you're free. You're free of the suffering, and you might not be 100% free. Like, something might bother you once in a while, then you have to stop and look at it and go, oh wait, and then unravel it and find your freedom again. And this freedom that you find is the freedom of joy, the freedom to feel love, the freedom to be yourself. And that's my elevator pitch. So we just hit the 20th floor. I gotta get off now. Anything to add to that? So people watching on YouTube, I also have a Zoom going on with my students at the YBNL college. And if you'd like to chime in, please do.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Okay, great. This is Susan. My question is, I love the phrase, your body never lies, as you know. And I just kind of I love when you just do a riff on something. So what does that mean, your body never lies? That's what I'm asking.
Well, your body always tells you the truth. And it always tells the universe around you the truth as well. So if you're like you're probably stewing about something that you don't want to share with other people. And that's body language that we give to others. Like, leave me alone, I'm thinking about something. Right? Or, I'm happy and joyous and victorious. But if you do this, put your arms in the air and start smiling, pretty soon you will start feeling victorious, and you won't even know why. But What your body doesn't lie about is what you are feeling. If you're feeling sad, your body looks sad. If you're feeling happy, your body looks happy. You can't get around that. And we use that mechanism to identify what's bothering us. So a few minutes ago, I said, pre-pandemic, I like to do live events where I would identify what's going on internally with somebody by identifying their external body language. So in that case, your body does not lie. I can tell if you are sad. I can tell that you've got 3 brothers and a sister and that your mom died when you were 12. Like, that's literally written in our body language. But that's not the only thing it means. What it really means and what really matters is that your internal body language messages that you hear are always true. They do not lie to you. However, they are feelings and sensations, and those sensations and emotions are always valid and true because they always happen in the moment, right here, right now. They don't happen yesterday or tomorrow. They are happening, and if you are feeling sad, it's true. You are feeling sad. There's no, I'm happy, yet my body's feeling sad. That just does not happen. If you think it's happening, that's just a thought. Has nothing to do with reality. Reality is what you are feeling in the moment right now, and your body will always reflect that back to you. If you listen to your internal body language, you can know exactly what's going on anywhere at any time. The reason for my play shop is that for most of us, and for me especially a long time ago, I could not hear my internal body language. I mean, it was there, but I didn't listen to it the way I can now. It either dictated my behavior, like, the message would come and I would just do it. like no filter, no wondering, well, where's this message coming from? I would just act on it. Now I hear my body language. I ask myself, okay, is this true? And that your body never lies means that the feeling is always real and you can trust the feeling. So if my internal body language says, oh, that girl likes you, or likes me, and it feels good in my body, now I know that that girl liking me is something that feels good in my body. So the only thing that's actually true there, though, is how I feel in my body. It feels good for me to think that that girl likes me, right? That your body never lies. It doesn't mean that that girl actually likes me. I don't know that for sure. Okay? To start. And the reason we don't know that for sure is that we are suffering for our history. So the mechanism I spoke about a few minutes ago about regurgitating our past is always regurgitated, whether it's traumatic or not. So if I see somebody that looks like a girl I liked when I was in junior high school, and then she also looks like somebody I dated in high school, and also looks like this woman I was attracted to in college, and she looks at me, I might automatically get a feeling in my body, of attraction. But the only thing that's real there is that I'm feeling attraction. She may or may not be attracted to me. There's no way for me to know because the only messages I'm receiving are my internal body language messages based on my history. And, this is due to traumatic experience. Our attention gets turned inwards, inside. But once we resolve our traumas, once we resolve the not enoughs, the not good enoughs, now that attention can go outwards. And now our body language does reflect our environment. So we might be at a cocktail party and suddenly feel attraction and notice it's coming behind us, turn around and look, and there's some cute person checking us out. Now we're tuned into our environment, and now our body also never lies, but it's based on interacting with the environment. So that's a place that the training gets to. But to start, when we say your body never lies, we're talking about the internal messages that don't feel good. If your body is telling you that you're not enough, it's true that you feel not enough. It isn't true that you're not enough, but it's true that you're feeling that you're not enough. And acknowledging that you're feeling that way, is the first step to disassembling and removing the lie. Because the idea that you're not enough is a lie. It absolutely is. And that's what the play shop is about uncovering. Once your body gets that it's a lie and your body no longer has to cope with it or churn it or think about it or do anything with it, and it just gives up, now our attention goes outside. We take in much better information from the outside world. And now our body sensations will tell us what's happening in our environment. So I trained with somebody who, they're on the sidewalk with their wife, and all of a sudden they got into panic and grabbed their wife and jumped back into the doorway of the restaurant because they're, that they were waiting in line to go into. And he felt like jumping out of the way, and he grabbed his wife and they jumped into the doorway. He didn't know why, but right when he did, a car smashed into the sidewalk and would have run them over. But he never saw the car coming. He was just chatting with his wife, looking over here like, hey, and then all of a sudden he jumps out of the way and the car came from the other direction. But that sort of environmental or situational awareness is increased when we're not always thinking about our own nonsense. And when I talk about letting go of our suffering, I'm talking about letting go of the churning, the mental nonsense that goes on and on about our history. And, when you're done, when your body is done churning your history and no longer collects, evidence to prove that you're not enough, now your body never lies in a new way. Now it's about reading the environment. So now we talk about intuition. If you're no longer wrapped up in feeling that you're not good enough, well, now you can learn about, activating your intuition. Because when you go to activate it, you're not going to have the thought that you're not good enough to do it. You're just going to do it. And that's the joy of this training. And that's why I've created the YBNL College. So that's my second elevator pitch. We're back down at the ground floor. Anybody else? So we'll call this video the elevator pitch. Did that answer your question, Susan?
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like your body never lies. Like I've had conversations with people where they're like, but I feel this way. And I'll say to them, yeah, but you do feel this way. And I see that, but what you're believing something that's a lie that's making you feel that way.
Right.
And that's like a distinction that is kind of a very important distinction.
It absolutely is. No, feelings are always real because feelings only happen in the moment. Reality is right now. Anything that's feeling or happening right now is real. Like that's just the nature of what reality is. It is real. Reality is real. Shocking. Thoughts, though, have no place in present time. They do not exist here. If you are thinking, you are not present. It's not possible to think about being here now. And you can try, but you are deluding yourself, and whoever taught you that taught you poorly. You should give it up and learn what works. Being here now is a body sensation. It's a feeling. You can't think about being here now. When you are here now, you don't think about what you see. You don't think about what you feel or hear because there's no thought. Thoughts only happen in the past. They can appear to happen in the, we can think about the future, but when we're thinking about the future, it's based in the past. Think about what car you're going to drive tomorrow. Your thoughts are all based on what car you drove yesterday. All thoughts are in the past. We're going to have a video to debate that sometime if anybody needs to, but if you think thoughts can be present, then you've never actually been present. Because once you really are being here now and there's no thought, colors pop, the room gets brighter, you start hearing things from further away, you start feeling a lot more in your body, you feel waves of love coming and going from your environment. There's all sorts of things that are sensations that we can feel that are impossible to feel while our mind is spinning thoughts. So there. And now we've just gone down to the basement, and I'm going to take the elevator back up. I wish you could share your body language, but YouTube doesn't have access to the Zoom call. What a great smile. Thank you.
I'm just thinking, wow, it's just such a powerful thing to realize, because you never even quite put it exactly that way that I recall, of saying that thoughts don't exist in the present moment. Like, do you want to say anything else about thoughts? Because I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, thoughts are always about measuring and comparing, and they're always an attempt to understand. Something happens we don't understand, we want to stop and think about it, and we try to label it and dissect it and identify what it was. And that's true whether we're gossiping about our friend or if we're trying to understand driving a car or anything else. It's all just about measuring, comparing, and attempting to understand. But once you get that understanding is a feeling of connection and not an intellectual activity, you no longer need the intellectual activity. Understanding comes from connection, and understanding is about, well, let's dissect understanding first. So if two people are totally intellectual and one wants to understand the other, one speaks and the other one has to listen, right? But listening isn't enough. You have to have used the same dictionaries. If this person's speaking Chinese and this person only speaks Greek, it doesn't matter how much words they hear, because the definitions of the words don't matter. But this is also true of somebody who went to a public school in St. Louis versus somebody who went to a private school in Manhattan. They try to understand each other, and they would have used different dictionaries. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that people used dictionaries to help stratify society. If you went to the public school, you use language in a very different way than if you go to a private school. And that's how the wealthy are able to identify each other, by how they use words. It's one way anyway. But understanding, actual copying what this person is thinking. So this person thinks of a pink elephant and they say, blah, 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 blah. And this person over here hears blah, 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 blah. To translate that into an image of a pink elephant requires a dictionary, requires education, requires, it requires already being on the same page, or speaking the same language, and speaking the same language in the same way. But the feeling of understanding, like somebody, the feeling of being on the same page, the feeling of being connected, that's also understanding. So if this person here feels and only speaks Chinese, feels really connected to this person over here who only speaks Greek, it doesn't matter what this person says. This person could just make noise or point at something, whatever else. If there's true emotional understanding and empathy, they're going to understand each other. There's no need for the language. There's no need to go, like body language is the same universally. If I do this, everybody in the world knows I'm asking for food. There isn't anybody in the world who sees this and thinks, oh, he wants to talk about politics. Everybody knows that this means food. Everybody knows that this means drink or water. It's universal. So when we choose to understand and connect with each other via body language, we don't need the intellect. We don't need thoughts. I love movies and I love stories and books. I don't read books so much anymore, but Lord of the Rings, that's a great metaphor for how our trust in our intellect has destroyed the magic of emotional connection. And it's, we're out of the Kali Yuga, I like to say, and I believe it. We're out of it. We're literally at the last little edge of the Kali Yuga. We're just about to pop completely out of it. And the Kali Yuga is definitely about darkness and about intellect and about trying to understand and label things and trying to figure it out. Once we let go of the need to figure things out and just relax in stillness, then understanding comes to us. So that's this age that we're moving into, where we trust understanding through body sensation and feeling and intuition rather than through intellect. And the reason this matters is that intellect is always stuck in the past and always wants to go over the past, whereas intuition and body sensations only happen right here, right now. So they're always more real and more effective. The connection I feel, the emotional connection I feel with somebody creates far greater understanding and fun than an intellectual agreement I have with somebody that constantly needs to be renegotiated. And it's like if you've got a coworker who you don't have an emotional connection with, then talking to them is a chore. It's like you're always trying to make sure you understand. Are you sure you're duplicating or copying what I'm saying? Are we on the same page here? But once you have an emotional connection with somebody, and if it's really strong, all it takes is a look. You just give somebody a nod or a glance or a wink, and all of a sudden they know that you want them to go get you a glass of champagne and meet on the back balcony in 10 minutes. Like you can get really a simple look with an emotional charge to it or an emotional feeling, right? With empathy and connection can communicate far more with far little than we can communicate intellectually. But that sort of communication, the subtle communication, subtle emotional communication or body language communication, that becomes much more obvious, much easier to do once our body stops its need to communicate intellectually. Because while our body carries traumas forward and needs to figure things out, it's very difficult to trust emotional information or the information that comes from intuition or from body sensations. We only want to trust thoughts. I want to know what you're thinking before I trust you. It's all based on an internal body language that's incestuous or like turned in on itself and always worrying about itself, worrying about, am I good enough? Am I not enough? And running those filters. When you're not running those filters, now life expands outwards and emotional understanding becomes a lot easier.
Right. It's like people just say, I have to just figure this out. I have to figure it out. And it's like, no, you don't have to figure it out. No, you don't have to.
No, that's right. You don't.
And it's difficult and not even possible to do that sometimes, and not desirable either.
Yeah, exactly. And then actually, in the Western tradition, Lucifer, his name literally means the light bearer, brings light to the darkness. And the idea there is that when you're connected, when you're really connected and in this unconditional love, you don't need to know. There's no knowing. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just this big soup. Like, who cares? But intellect and the part that wants separation and wants to measure and compare, it wants to know. It wants to label. It wants to see what's there and to have an intellectual understanding. It's literally bearing light in the darkness. But it's also, if you want to get, I'm not going to pretend to be any kind of religious scholar, but there is a correlation there. I don't really care so much about specific traditions as I do about how the traditions line up with each other. And I've always enjoyed that, the idea of Lucifer being the light bearer, the one who brings knowledge, right, to ignorance. That's totally akin to being here now, because when we're being here now, we don't know anything. All we know when we're being here now is what we feel. And that's a lot different than carrying a bunch of knowledge with us, which is what we do. And we're always trying to figure things out and trying to amass power or connections or whatever else. It ends up being a lot of weight. So the more, the more we're willing to not know, then the more connected we can be, and the more we actually do know. Because it's not about me knowing, it's about falling into the oneness and having access to knowing itself. So I'm not sure where we are on the elevator on that one.
We're on the top floor.
On the top floor, okay. All right. Well, thanks for participating in the video today. I'm definitely going to call this one the elevator pitch. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian. That was awesome.
Excellent. I'll see you at the college soon.
Very good.
Okay, have fun. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.